we're here in the office of the Always Believe House. Oh, today we're going to learn how to do a power to a power. And it's going to give you more power. Okay, so let's start rocking and rolling, and a magical whiteboard appears, and you are going to learn how to do a power to a power. Life is fun. Okay, the first part of this paper reviews the rules. Remember, when you multiply, you add the exponents. When you divide, you subtract the exponents. If an exponent is 0, that base turns to 1. And a negative exponent moves the base across the fraction bar. Okay? Now then, let's look at this. Okay? 5 to the 4th means I'm going to multiply 5 by itself 4 times. And that's going to give me 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. If I were to put that in the calculator, 5 caret 4, it would be 625. Okay, remember to put this in the calculator, you're going to push that in, right? That caret symbol's all the way to the left of the 4. Okay, let's go to the next one. X to the 5th means I'm going to multiply, let me spell multiply, right? Multiply x by itself 5 times. You cannot do this on the calculator because the x is a variable. So technically you would have 5 x's, which would be x to the 5th. Now then on the next one, this is when you have a power to a power. I call this right here a dangling exponent. It's a power raised to a power. That 4 doesn't have a base. The x to the 6 is the base. That means I'm going to multiply x to the 6 by itself 4 times. Okay, so I'm going to write down x to the 6 times x to the 6 times x to the 6 times x to the 6. This is going to turn into x to the 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6, which is equal to x to the 24. Okay, so basically you're taking that base and you're writing it down. Let's go to the next one. Multiply a to the 9, y to the 2nd by itself 5 times. Sorry, my handwriting's sloppy. Okay, now then this is going to be a to the 9th, y to the 2nd times a to the 9th, y to the 2nd times a to the 9th, y to the 2nd times a to the 9th, y to the 2nd, times a to the 9th, y to the 2nd. So I have 5 a's. Do I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I have 5 a's. 5 9's is going to be 45 times y. I have 5 2's, which would be 10, wouldn't it? Okay, continuing on. And I'm not going to write down the words on this, but you would write down 3x to the 5th, y to the 2nd, 3 times. So you would have 3x5y squared times 3x5y squared times 3x5y squared, which would be 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. X, 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 15. Y, 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. Now then, look at what we did to these exponents. What did you do to 6 and 4 to get 24? What do you do to 6 and 4 to get 24? You're multiplying them, aren't you? What do you do to the a, the 9, and the 2? How did you get the 45? You did 9 times 5, didn't you? How did you get the 10? You did 2 times 5, didn't you? And lastly, what did you do with the 5 and the 3 to get 15? You did 5 times 3. What did you do with the 2 and the 3 to get the 6? Okay? So when you have a base or a power to a power, you are multiplying, okay? So the rule would be a to the x to the y would be a to the x times y. So in words, when you have a power raised to a power, multiply the exponents. Y'all listen, this is going to get hard. Y'all have never ever done this before, and with the negative exponents, it gets confusing, okay? But when you have a power to a power, you're going to multiply. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard, okay? So let's go through and do these. And I'm going to do the ones, went through and picked them all. I'm not going to do all your homework. This is in the next part of the assignment. Doing one video to save some time here. Okay, so we took the notes. Now I'm going to do a few of these problems, and you're going to finish up, okay? Now then, technically, this y has a 1 exponent. So I'm going to take the power of 3, and I'm going to do this. X to the 2 times 3, y to the 1 times 3. Remember, this 3 is going to distribute to every exponent inside. So it's going to be x to the 6, y to the 3rd. Ho, 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 ho. Let's go to number 6. This exponent only goes here and here. It doesn't go to the 2. So the 2 drops. I'm going to have c to the 1 times 2, d to the 4 times 2. So I'm taking my exponent of 2 and distributing it to the parentheses. The big 2 in front does not get the exponent of 2 because it's not in the parentheses. So this is going to turn into 2c squared d to the 8th. The numbers on this are going to be small. The math's going to be easy. You've got to know the rules though. When you have a power to a power, you multiply. When you divide, you subtract. When you multiply, you add. Negative exponent moves the base across the fraction bar. Okay, let's go down to number 9. Okay, on number 9, I have this exponent here that has to distribute. And remember, these exponents have 1. This right here is just going to drop. So I'm going to have a to the 1 times 1/3, b to the 1 times 1/3, times b to the 1/2. So I'm going to multiply these first. I'm going to have a to the 1/3, b to the 1/2 times b to the 1/3 times b to the 1/2. Next step is to group these, right? So I'm going to have a to the 1/3 times b, and I'm going to add those exponents. You will need to punch this into the calculator. So punch control divide, and then type in 1 down 3. Just take the time and do it. Hit the right arrow button, punch plus, then hit control divide again, and then punch 1 down 2. So I have 1/3 plus 1/2, which is what I have right here, right? So I need to add those up, okay? And then if I hit enter, I get the 5/6. Use the calculator if you can't do the arithmetic with the exponents. So the answer is going to be a to the 1/3, b to the 5/6. Ho, 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 ho. Now then I'm going to go through and do number 11. This is a little trickier. Remember, if it doesn't have an exponent, it's a 1. So this 4 is going to go to here, 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 and here. That 4 is going to count to every single exponent inside the parentheses. Every single exponent in the parentheses will be multiplied by 4. So draw a fraction bar. 3 to the 1 times 4, x to the 3 times 4, 12 to the 1 times 4, and x to the 4. Something else I want you to think of. Imagine if you took out the letters. You would have this, wouldn't you? If you took out the letters and variables, you would have this. Punch this into the calculator. So if I'm going to punch parentheses, control divide, 3, down button 12, close parentheses, and then hit the right arrow button, right arrow button. Okay, so I have 3 over 12, and then I'm going to punch it to the 4th power, right? Okay, to the caret 4. So I have 3 over 12 to the 4th power, hit enter. That's what my number is going to turn into, 1 over 256. Okay, so the calculator will do the numbers, but it will not do the letters. If you take the letters out and type the numbers in, you can get that number. Okay, so I know I'm going to have 1 over 256 for my number. Okay, so I'm going to draw a fraction bar, put 1 over 256, and then on the top I have x to the 12, and this is, 1 times 4. I should put a 1 times 4 here. This should be 3 times 4 and 1 times 4, right? So x to the 12 over x to the 4. And then notice I'm going to do x to the 12 minus 4 and get x to the 8th, right? So x to the 8th over 256 is going to be my answer. Okay? Pretty simple stuff, not that difficult. You could also punch this into the calculator and get the same thing. You would get 1 over 256. Let's go to number 12. Number 12 is tough. On your calculator, y'all punch this in. Okay, and let's make this, here, let's do this. Okay, so let's punch this in. This is tricky here. This is very confusing. So let's go to the calculator, hit parentheses, -2, caret to the -3, close parentheses, and then let's raise it to the second power. Jiminy crickets. Caret 2. Okay, so I have this donut. And then please listen. You're going to take that negative, and that negative is going to make, that 2 is going to make the negative count twice. I would write down -2 to the -3 twice. 2 negatives makes a positive. Okay? And then I would do x to the -6, which is, I think, 64. The 64 should be on the bottom. This should be a -1 over 64. Okay, a positive because the negative counts twice. So this ends up being a positive. This is really tricky. So let's go back to the problem. You would technically write this down twice, wouldn't you? Okay, the negative counts twice. If the parentheses weren't there, the negative would count once. So 2 negatives makes a positive, and then you would do x to the -3 plus -3, which is x to the -6, which is going to turn into 1 over x to the 6. Okay? It's really, really tricky. If you were doing this by hand, you would do this, okay? The negative counts twice, which would be a positive. Then you would have x to the -3 times 2, which is going to turn into that, okay? Very, very tricky. Let's do one more. Let's put -2 to the third, or let's do -2 to the square. Okay, this is really tricky. You would think it would be a +4, but type this into the calculator. -2 caret 2. If you do that, you get a -4, don't you? The negative is not in the parentheses. It does not get the exponent. Type in -2 caret -2. The negative is not in the parentheses. It will not get the exponent of 2. The negative drops. 2 to the -4, 2 to the squared is 4, but the 4 shouldn't be in the numerator, it should be in the denominator. This is going to be a -1 over 4. Now then, type this into the calculator. Hit parentheses, type in -2, close the parentheses, and then do caret -2. Notice on this one, the negative is inside the parentheses in it. So the negative gets counted twice. It's going to be 1 over 4, but it won't be negative. It will be positive. So this is really, really tricky when they put a negative symbol in there with that exponent. If the negative is not in the parentheses, it drops. If the negative's in the parentheses, it gets the exponent. That is a huge concept. You got to click on that. You're going to miss that sign more than anything else in this. Let's keep going. Okay. Number 15. So this -2, notice there's no negative here. That -2 is going to go to the 1, the 3, and the -3. So I'm going to do 2 -2, x to the 3 times -2, y to the -3 times -2. Now then I'm going to multiply. 2 to the -2, x to the -6, y to the 6. Everything with a negative exponent goes to the bottom. Now then, what is 2 squared? 2 squared is 4, right? So the 4 goes down here. The x to the 6 and the y to the 6 is here. That's going to be my answer, okay? Continuing on. Oh, I got 2 more to do for you, and you can finish the rest up. This is real tricky with a fraction, okay? Imagine this does not have the letters. I could type this into the calculator and get my number. So let's do that right off the bat. So go to the calculator. Type in parentheses, hit Control Divide, type in 7 down 14, close the parentheses, and then do caret, and what is it? 7 over 14 caret negative 4? Okay, so notice I took the letters out and I'm just typing in the number. Hit enter and I get 16. If this is a multiple choice problem and the answer choice does not have 16, it is wrong. So let's go to the problem. Okay, I know my number. Let me undo this. I know my number is going to have 16 on the top of it. Now then, I'm going to take the, let me do that, and then draw a fraction bar. I'm going to have a times 2 to the negative 4, a times 3 to the negative 4. Now then, I'm going to write down 16, a to the negative 8 over a to the negative 12. Now then, I'm going to use the quotient rule and subtract. So 16, a to the negative 8 minus negative 12. You may have to punch this in the calculator. This gets confusing. It takes some repetition to get this down. If you have trouble, message the teacher. They can reply back and show you the steps and it will click. The math's not hard, but the concept of doing this is tough. Okay? If you're having trouble, you're not alone. Now then, negative 8 minus a negative 12, if you were to punch that on the calculator, would be 4. So my answer is going to be 16, a to the 4. Oh! Okay, and I'm going to do one more problem for you. Let's go to 21. I'm going to write down a equals pi r squared, and this is my radius. So I'm going to take my radius and put it into the r. I've seen this on the STAR test, okay? So this exponent of 2 will distribute to here, and to here. So I'm going to do pi times 6 squared, x to the 9 times 2, y to the 5 times 2. This is going to be pi 36, x 18, y 10, and treat that pi like a letter. So it's going to turn into 36 pi x 18, y 10, which matches up to, notice this one and this one's wrong because it doesn't have 36, right? So the only one that's going to work is right here, okay? Have a blast finishing this up. This is going to be a hard concept. So make sure you're messaging your teacher. If you're having trouble with this, you're not going to be alone. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember, you are amazing. You are created to do wonderful things, and you are awesome.